So the traditional technique for shooting darts out of a slingshot is your slingshot will have a very low, narrow fork. You're gonna draw it back to maybe a half butterfly, and then you shoot the dart directly into the back of your hand. I can't tell you why this technique is so popular. Personally, I'd be like, ow, but it seems like everybody's doing it. I'm gonna depart from the traditional ways a little bit. Today we're gonna make a slingshot with a higher, wider fork, and we're gonna be utilizing a pretty unique way to link the dart to the rubber so that when you draw it back and shoot it, there's this little chance as possible of it remaining locked on the rubber and whipping around and, you know, manually opening your third eye. All this and more on today's DNA production. Here you go. Hope you guys like it. You know, it has been said by me, draw weight does not necessarily equal projectile speed. You can't just slap 20 spear gun rubbers onto a slingshot and expect you're gonna be able to shoot fighter jets out of the sky or, you know, blow up a tank or put a hole in the side of a battleship. But what if I told you I've actually figured out through intense research how to accomplish all of those things by playing War Thunder, today's sponsor. Guys, when I was 11, I paid $15 a month to be able to jump through this particular crack in the wall in RuneScape. These days, thanks to War Thunder, you get to drive up to a wall in a tank, make your own crack in the wall, and blow up an unsuspecting enemy on the other side. And that will cost you $0. Times have definitely changed. War Thunder is a free-to-play, gigantic online multiplayer game where it's not just tanks, you pilot aircraft, battleships, and engage in incredibly immersive battles with players from all over the world, even more immersive than RuneScape. And guys, everything about the gameplay, from the physics to the freaking sound design, it's all constantly getting updated. And with the new storm warning update, they actually allow for ray tracing now, so you get the most realistic shadows and reflections and lighting and stuff. Don't play this game at night. It'll ruin your circadian rhythm. Just kidding, just get those orange glasses and play this game at night. Storm Warning's also seen the introduction of 2 new fighter jets, the Eurofighter Typhoon and the Dassault Rafale. These jets are so fast, I can't even run that fast, it's crazy. As well as the M44 for ground combat, and many more! So as if the game wasn't already epic and free, and you needed some kind of extra reason to give it a try, what if I told you all new players and anyone who hasn't played in over 6 months is about to get 100,000 silver lions and a special decorator, the Eagle of Valor? I can't believe it. I feel like I'm about to pass out. It's on PC, PlayStation, Xbox. They even have War Thunder Mobile for iOS and Android, so the action never has to stop. Look at that. That's a good looking game right there. Never been a better time to try it, guys. Check out the link in the description or the pinned comment. Thank you very much, War Thunder, for sponsoring the video. Let's get back to it. So I am kind of curious what the bare minimum I would need to do is to shoot a dart. I'm gonna try something real quick. Got some 3mm Dyneema. Just tie some square knots in the ends. A little denatured alcohol helps it slip in. Put a little candle wax on the paracord to help the constrictor knot lock. Here's how you do that, by the way. You make an X over your tube, and then you pass one end underneath the X. And just pull it really hard. Then we melt the loose ends and squish them up against the knot. And that will be locked in until the day you cut it. All right, and for the dart, I got these darts. These are fishing darts. These are made to be attached to some fishing line on the end here. And you do use them with a slingshot, but you'll notice, obviously, there's no fletchings on them. I'm pretty sure that's because they're meant to be attached to fishing line, and towing that fishing line is what actually keeps them on the straight and narrow instead of the fletchings. But both ends of these are actually threaded, so you can remove the barb. I don't know, let's see if this flies. And they did not fly. You could get them to stick sometimes if you stood really close to the target. I'm talking like 8 feet away from the target, but even then they would still hit pretty wonky. It was very, very obvious that they needed some kind of stabilization in the air, like some fletchings maybe. So I got some fletchings on them, and somehow it was still an absolute disaster. The things would just go absolutely anywhere they wanted to. Just could not figure out what the heck was happening. I was theorizing that maybe the tubes on the wrist rocket were like coiling up in a funny way when I would fire, because I saw on the high speed they're like going crazy when you shoot them, and maybe when they coil up funny, it's like nudging the back of the dart out of alignment and sending it off in a crazy direction. But then I made my own dart that was like almost identical to the fishing dart with the fletchings, and it was like perfect every single time. Oh, I'm officially excited for this video. That was good. Oh, still good, but in a different way. Ah, lost a fletching. Okay, you can't tell me this isn't freaking sick. So my absolute best guess was that it's like a balance issue with the dart, because the fishing darts are all steel, and the dart that I made had an aluminum shaft and a bigger steel head, so it was very front heavy. But even with this theory going, I still don't actually know why, because there would be these particular moments where the fishing dart would it would be perfect, it would fly great. But as much of a mystery as that was, it ended up actually kind of putting the final nail in the coffin, because even when it would fly straight and hit perfectly, the dart would bend almost every single time. And if it stuck perfectly and you go up to try to wiggle it out, the threads on the shaft would snap right off. Like I said, almost every single time. So the fishing darts are not made for shooting solid targets. They're made for hitting squishy fish. I'd be willing to bet they're actually pretty good for fishing. I've still got like 5 of them left that I haven't broken yet. So if I ever get a chance, I'm gonna give them a try. It seems like it would be a lot of fun. As far as shooting darts goes, big surprise. It looks like I'm about to make my own darts, like I want to do this whole entire time. I'm also gonna be transitioning over to the flat bands master race. I mean, transcending really, let's be honest here. But I'm actually gonna be converting the wrist rocket to take flat bands, because I like the way that the fork is pretty high up there above the hand. It's just a lot safer for shooting darts for a noob like me. You ever seen those dart injuries from people shooting with a really low fork? Gosh, like Forkless 2, where you're holding the rubber in your hand. It's grisly. I'm not interested in that for myself. All right, let's get the show on the road. All right, first we gotta get these bands off. I actually wanna preserve these. I think I can use them for other stuff. You see people just like slice these off sometimes. Makes me cringe. Get you a Zepp spray bottle, fill it with denatured alcohol. This stuff is magic. Can kind of peel it back a little bit and spray it in there. Pull it from the front, pull it from the back, the front. Just switch back. Oh, there you go. Switch back and forth between the two. Seems good. Seems intact. Nice. You are stubborn. Sheesh. Ooh, I can see the tip of the vacuum cap looking thing. Silly. Willy. Holy moly. There we go. All that to preserve some tubes you can buy at Tractor Supply for 12 bucks. We're not gonna talk about that. I'm gonna pop the fork out. This is a T15 little machine screw. Now that I got the tubes off, I can actually cut the ends off of this. I'm gonna slide these little shock absorber thingies off. Oh wow, that was so easy. And I'm gonna get to work bending the prongs up into a right angle before I trim them down to 2 inches. Now the fork's ready for the little fat band clamp, flat band clamps. The clamps for the flat bands. We're gonna start with some 1-inch pieces of 3/4 by 3/16 inch flat bar. I'm gonna weld these on here. I don't like welding on camera because I don't have the filter for it. I'm scared it's gonna damage the sensor. You will shortly see that these are welded on, and you're just gonna have to trust that I did it, okay? All right, pretty good. I'm gonna flatten this out on the belt sander now. And the actual clamping part of the clamp is gonna be this little half piece of black pipe that I drilled and countersunk to seat a 1032 machine screw. I'm also drilling and tapping the little base plates that I attached to the fork. Same screw size, obviously. And finally, I'm gonna get a little cushion on there to protect the bands a little bit. All right, now we're gonna make up our bands. This is actually the first time I've ever used TheraBand for a slingshot. I've been doing some research on the best way to cut this stuff, and I keep seeing people using these rotary cutters. And when I first saw it, I'm like, is it motorized or something? How the heck does this thing work? Because I just kept picturing it would be like a pizza cutter. Like, I don't see how that could possibly cut rubber like this. But boy, when I tell you, this thing is a freaking laser beam. I mean, the blade is just paper thin, and it's so freaking sharp. I'm so glad I learned. Oh, I should put it away. I'm so grateful I learned about this thing before I even tried cutting it with scissors. It'd probably be so frustrating. All right, so I'm gonna go for 6 active inches, or the amount of the rubber that's actually stretching. So I don't know, is 7 okay for like the tie-offs on the ends to account for those? Give it a try. If it doesn't work, I've only got like 8 more yards of this stuff. I think I'll be okay. I'll go 7 1/4. It's like I can't believe how good that works every single time. It's really nice. All right, and I am gonna go for a taper. I'm gonna do 1 inch down to 1/2 inch. Let's keep it simple. 1 inch, 1/2 inch. All right, it's looking pretty good. Ooh, that is stretchy. So I made a couple of loops out of microcord. It's like a really tiny paracord, but it's got 100-pound break strength. And I'm gonna use this Simple Shot elastic thread to tie everything together. I'm finding it doesn't take much, like 5 inches. This stuff is really nice, this thread. Super strong too. If you try to tear it, it's like it's cutting through your fingers before you can even get it to snap. It's really cool. All right, so I've wrapped it around, I don't know, a good 20 times. Another loop that I made out of some slick fishing line. Lay it on top, wrap that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you take your end, thread it through the loop, and then when you pull your fishing line out, it pulls the end under those 5 loops and it ties it all shut. There we go. All right, there's one of my bands. Let's do the same thing with the other one. Use that half pipe, put the screws in. Seems pretty darn good. All right, I'm gonna show you how to make this dart in just a second, but I gotta shoot this thing. I've waited too long. I'm gonna get it on high speed too. Wow, my garage almost looks kind of messy on camera. It doesn't look like that in real life, guys. I don't know what that's all about. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I'm really liking that super wide fork. It's like all the room in the world for this dart to never, ever, ever hit the fork, hopefully. And also just how high it is above the hand gives you a lot of confidence when you're shooting. Gosh, buttery smooth. Oh, high speed. That was so stinking good. Oh no, that's deep. It's like lodged in there. Here's why I really like these broadheads. Wiggle them back and forth just a teeny tiny bit in the direction of the blades, and they cut themselves free. It's not like with the fishing dart where when it gets really stuck in there and you try to wiggle it free, you basically have to crush a bigger hole into the target before you can wiggle it out. The broadhead just kind of slices into the wood this way and that way, and then it pops right out. It's super nice. Alrighty, finally time for the darts. This is actually just a prototype dart. I think the final one is gonna actually be nicer than this. Couple pretty cool important features. I already explained how easy they are to pull out of the target, but super importantly for that moment where you do have to wiggle it out is that the arrowhead is actually removable and mounted in there with this aluminum insert. Not only is it super convenient for being able to replace the arrowheads once they're super banged up, but if you properly glue one of these things into the shaft, it's so much stronger than you'd think it would be just looking at the dowel with the hole drilled in it, because intuitively you're imagining how weak it would be if you were to just have something in there and you were to pull it sideways like that. You just bust right through the wall, right? But when you've got a full coating of glue all the way around the insert, you would have to snap the glue off of the opposite wall, you'd have to shear the glue off of both side walls, and you'd have to break through that wall. And that's all the way around in every single direction. So don't be deceived by the really thin wooden walls. You can see how much abuse the arrowhead's taken. I've shot this thing a few dozen times at a little piece of wood in the basement and missed, crashed right into a cinder block wall, crashed into the steel frame that the target was sitting on, and it's still absolutely rock solid. I could just pop that out, get a new arrowhead in there, and it's good as new. So that's a pretty epic feature about the aluminum insert. But here's my real contribution to every single sling dart that you've seen on the internet. This little piece of paracord with the knot on the end is actually where you grip the dart. Basically, every time you see a sling dart online, it's going to be a little knob like this that you hold on to. The downside of that is you need pretty much perfect technique when you're drawing the dart back to make sure that you're not pulling the dart out of alignment in any direction, which is super easy to do, especially with really light bands like this. The cool thing about my little tether thing, you literally can't change the direction of the dart. It's always going to be perfectly in line with the rubber. And you can see from the slow-mo, it just makes them fly so true. It's real nice to look at. Alrighty, enough talk. Here's how we do it. I'm going to start out with a 3/8 oak dowel, and I'm going to cut it into 4.5-inch sections. Now, here is apparently an old machinist trick for perfectly drilling holes the long way through dowels and rods. It's sure new to me, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. First, obviously, just make sure that your drill bit is smaller than your dowel. And this is so clever. You put your drill bit in backwards, or upside down, I guess. Raise your platform up so you can grab the bottom of the drill bit with your vise. I'm going to go ahead and use a couple little pieces of leather on both sides. That'll really make sure the bit doesn't move. Squeeze it down really tight. Undo the chuck. And there you go. This is so cool. Legend has it that not only does this perfectly align your drill bit and the rod long ways, but because the material is the thing that's going to be spinning, once it's going and you drop it down on the drill bit, it'll actually drag the tip of the drill bit to the center of the material and self-center. Probably one of the top tips of 2025, I'd say. Oh, and here's a little thing for our purposes. Go ahead and squeeze this in the chuck. A lot tighter than you think you're going to need to. You'll see why in a minute. You actually want to dent your material. Not 100% sure about that self-centering thing. Doesn't look quite perfect. Oh, the dowel might be a little bent. That would do it. I mean, that's a heck of a lot better than I could do by hand, that's for sure. I'll take it. All right, now remember when we squeezed the dowel and the chuck extra hard? We're gonna mark those lines, and that's what we're gonna use for the fletchings. I'm gonna put one of these cheapy little broadheads all the way inside one of the aluminum inserts. Nice healthy helping of super glue in there. Give it a good spin. Make sure all the knurling of the insert is completely covered and filled up. For the fletchings, you can buy fletchings online. You're gonna save a whole lot of time that way, or you can cut your own fletchings out of old school binders, or I got this giant roll of neoprene scraps from this odds and ends store nearby. $5. And I cut this and a whole bunch more out of a little piece that big, so I think I'm set for a while. I'm unbelievably blessed to have a laser engraver, so I was able to just do these out in a few minutes, but obviously you can cut neoprene with scissors, and even rotary cutters, cuts really nice. It's just gonna take some extra time. Okay, I'm gonna mark my dowel at 3/4 inch using that good old 50-cent Harbor Freight super glue. I like to actually do a little volcano, have it drip down onto the edge, and then you can just wipe the edge off onto the inside of the fletching. Now follow those black lines. Just like that, perfectly spaced fletchings using the dents from the chuck in a drill press. I'm gonna put the broadhead on. Now these are also an Amazon purchase. I got these in particular because they have this sharp right angle here that I thought would be super easy to modify. We'll do that in a minute. Right now, I'm gonna drill an 1/8 inch hole in line with the blade. And I'm gonna flatten these edges and chamfer the end here on the belt sander. Like that. Not totally necessary, but neither is a slingshot that shoots darts. And yet here you are. I'm gonna cut 6 inches of this 275 paracord. It's like paracord, but thinner. And this cut mat really comes in handy. Pass it through. Now I've got some 1/2 inch heat shrink tubing. I'm gonna cut a 1/2 inch section and a 7/8 section. You can see with my fletching design, I have this little tiny flat spot. This is made specifically for tying the ends of the fletchings down. So I'll do a dot super glue on each one, and I'm gonna do a ring right in front. A 1/2 inch heat shrink tubing goes on the front. And the 7/8 section goes on the back. We are almost ready to shoot. I gotta cut the hooks into the broadhead. For anyone wondering, my inspiration for this double connection point broadhead thing comes from this guy, Paul, that Chris from Catapult Carnage has on his channel every now and then. You can obviously see the functionality there, but I felt like my dart overall was different enough that I could, at least make a video out of it. So, yep, there's the inspiration for that little part. Catapult Carnage. Check them out, one of my favorite channels right now. All right, now this edge right here is really pretty sharp. I'm gonna go ahead and round that out, and I'm also gonna smooth this over right here. Hey, before I go out and shoot, check this out. This is pretty cool. So obviously these things can fold up, but I put this little grease fitting in the bottom of the handle too. So you can just check that out. That is sleek. Still not like pocket size, but you could definitely chuck that in like one of the outer pockets of your backpack. That would be perfect. All right, let's go shoot. All right, I got my nice little pine tabletop target down there. You can see I did my little trick where you put the 10-pound weight plate on there and spray paint around it, and it makes a perfect little bullseye. I don't suspect I'm gonna be hitting many bullseyes right now. This is the farthest I ever shot these darts. I've just been shooting them inside the garage. See if we can hit the tabletop though. It's such a shame I'm just getting into slingshots as winter is beginning. Oh, not bad. Pretty low, but vertically, that's pretty bang on. Speed wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be either. Like I was saying, the cold really affects the bands. And right now it's, I think 15 Fahrenheit, which is like -10 C. So these bands are struggling. Oh, yeah, way too high. That was bad. Good speed on these things though. I'm impressed. Of course I'm impressed. I'm a little biased. Oh, that was a good one. Still not super accurate, but flight was just so nice looking. All right, I'm actually gonna aim this one. That made it worse. Instinctive it is. I aim for the target, it goes low. I aim high, it flies perfect. I gotta be careful going too quick. You could definitely poke a hole through these bands with these arrowheads. I wanna get inside the red just one time. That'd be nice, just for the video. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm 10 yards right now, so 30 feet away. Pretty rough so far. I'm just really glad I haven't, missed the whole entire plywood yet. You will never find these tiny little things in the snow. Oh, yes. Not a bullseye, but I got in the red. That's exciting. This is fun. I gotta say, this is really fun. It'll be a lot funner in the summer, but while I can stand it, I'm having a good time. Ah, that's so nice. All right, let's check it out. There's that really bad one, but the rest of them, only kind of really bad. Not bad. All right, let's put my little easy removal theory to the test. Just pull it off to the side. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so easy. Ooh, that one's stuck. That one's in there good. This is nice. Not a single break. I'm gonna go again. Oh, baby, come on. Oh, we might have a break. Oh, yes! Woo! Sorry, babe, I'm gonna be out here a while. I've got a new hobby. Ah, what happened there? Like that Harbor Freight super glue ain't so super. Let's see how 2 fletchings flies. Just about a bullseye. That's hilarious. Ugh, it's starting to get windy out here. My hands are feeling it. Oh, baby. That's so cool. Man, the improvement in my grouping from 10 shots, I should be hitting all bullseyes the next round. Here's that one that bounced. It seems like it's totally fine. I might have hit a knot in the wood or something, bounced right out, but yeah, totally fine. Ooh, that fletching came off though. Man, I did all of these with that Harbor Freight glue. I'm gonna have to go back through and do it all with the Gorilla Glue. That stinks. All right, I can't wait to do more practicing with this. It's a little warmer out. My hands are killing me though. You know what? I'm gonna do just one more shot with the high speed so I can get a speed reading on these things. It's not going to be an accurate depiction of what this thing's really capable of. But when I'm editing, I think I'll regret if I don't do it. So I'll give it a try. Here we go. Ah. What happened? What just happened? Where'd the dart go? What the heck? All right. I don't think anything broke. That particular dart had really, really shallow hooks. I think it might have just slipped off. That was bizarre. I think I lost a fletching on that one too. Curse you, Harbor Freight glue. You get a little rush when you get that bullseye, huh? Okay. Tragic. So out in the cold, the darts are topping out at 131 feet per second, but at room temperature, that goes up to about 153. So we're talking low range of like a recurve bow speed. Considering the draw weight of this thing is like 10 pounds, I'm really not mad at that speed. And if it's your thing, you could 10,000% take some small game with this thing, a squirrel or rabbit or something. Absolutely no question about that. In terms of the accuracy, I'll just go ahead and say it, skill issue. I don't really have any experience shooting slingshots aside from like, you know, my older brother's wrist rocket when I was 6. I think if you had more experience shooting slingshots, you could probably get some pretty tight groupings with these things, because from my perspective, I can see they're flying perfectly. There's no like, you know, curveball, barrel roll type stuff going on. It's me, it's not the darts is what I'm trying to say. I'm super looking forward to get some good practice in. It's safe to say I've caught the slingshot bug. And here's some pretty exciting news. I've actually been in contact with the man himself, Jorg. He's going to be sending me a Rambo, and there's a good chance we're going to be doing something like a podcast sometime soon. So just really exciting, cool stuff coming real soon. As far as today goes, you know, I don't normally do this, but I kind of just wanted to say thank you guys very much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.